The Buschy and Bobo Show, a healthy scratch podcast. Here's your hosts, Kyle Busch and Brian Rager.
Welcome back to episode 24 of the Buschy and Bobo Show.
We're a case of beer
On healthyscratch.ca. Today we have one of our, we'll say penultimate episodes before our favorite episode of the year and our second trade deadline special.
Trade deadline.
Oh, 100%.
Special. On this platform.
Yes. Well, if people don't know, me and Bobo for years have have used the trade deadline as a national holiday,
as an excuse to get off work,
as an excuse
to skip school,
hang out,
to drink some beers,
have some beers, coffee with some booze.
Do you know we're coming to the point now where like I check my Facebook memories and it's like, oh, this day in 2009.
Oh yeah,
we hung out and
the Byron Bit sweepstakes happened on this day, 2008.
Sergei Plotnikov got traded.
So. Yeah, we have a few things we want to talk about first, but in today's episode, it's literally going to be our top 25 list. We're going to explain how we came up with this list, and we'll go through it. And first and foremost, I want to talk to you about something that should have been big news, and it's a big problem with the NHL, and we talk about marketing all the time with the league that we love.
Yes.
And the big problem that they have with it is no one knows the big events. And the big event I'm talking about was the outdoor game.
Stadium Series,
Nashville and Tampa Bay.
I feel like there's been more hype recently around the Heritage Classic than...
I'll be honest with you. I don't know who's playing in that.
Toronto Buffalo.
Okay, so that was the Toronto jerseys with
the Toronto Arenas.
Okay.
Yeah, they're playing in Hamilton.
Okay.
But you're talking about it's the stadium with Nashville.
Another problem. I don't know about
Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot it was happening this year until I was on Instagram and
I was on Twitter.
I was on Instagram and I saw like is it David Riddick's pads or whatever. And I'm like, oh, they're doing an outdoor game?
Yeah.
So I didn't even know that was happening until I saw that. Like, that was like a couple days before the game.
That's a big problem.
Yeah,
we're big fans. Like we should know that that's happening. And when it was, I found out about 10 minutes before the game because I saw a tweet of like the warm-ups, and I'm like, "Oh, is that today?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not watching."
Oh, it's happening.
We were talking about ugly jerseys. I mean,
yeah,
Nashville's are horrible. And to be honest, I don't know who won the game. I don't know. Was it Tampa? Probably, right?
Probably. Well, I don't know much.
I saw Stamkos scored, knows it. That's a big problem. The NHL needs to do a lot better in terms of their marketing and in pushing these events. And like, it's one of those things where you can argue that these stadium series games and outdoor games are kind of losing their luster because it's done 3 times a day.
I said that in one of our first episodes.
You did.
I said it's something that.
What did we talk about? It was the Lake Tahoe.
Yeah. Yeah. I said it's the Lake Tahoe looked amazing.
The ice was shit.
It looked amazing, but
go check out that episode.
They're so focused on pushing the Winter Classic 1st of January or 2nd, like beginning of January, that they're so focused on having that be their main event, like these secondary things. Like there used to be like 3 Stadium Series games. Like you had the ones in LA, like the LA one, the 2 in New York. Mm-hmm. It's the stadiums, I feel like it's lost its effect. Like, yeah, it's supposed to be like the futuristic jersey, like the more like concept creative, whereas Winter Classic's heritage. Like, but
the coolest thing that they've done was the Lake Tahoe event where they were like, we're just going to go to like almost a neutral site where it's not really like a stadium,
and there's no one there.
It was kind of cool that way, honestly. I mean, in terms of
the mountains, the trees,
the viewership was cool, right? So they would have to figure out a way to do that in areas like, I don't know, Mystery Alaska, anyone? Like, you want to go up and play in Nunavut? I don't know. Like, that'd be kind of cool. Like, I would watch it, but no one's going to go to that.
It's something where it hasn't been marketed well. Even the Heritage Classic, that I know about that just because I've seen so much about the jerseys lately, but it's something, it's not really like, at least
I don't know when it is.
I don't either.
I wouldn't be marking my calendar going, we got to watch this. When the Winter Classics always were basically, wasn't it? It was January 1st.
January 1st, or it's like that first.
Everybody's got the day off, and then they would be like, boom, here's the game. It would be a midday thing.
Yep.
I'd sit down and watch it, and it was, now it's almost the same teams are playing, but then you got a matchup like Nashville and Tampa Bay. There's no history there at all.
No.
Where it's just like, well, they both haven't been in it. Let's do it. It's like, yeah, but
it seems forced.
It is, because they're trying to go through the gauntlet of like, we need to get everybody in here.
Like Arizona's probably going to get one soon after they play in their 5,000 seat arena, but
they're going to get an indoor game.
It might not sell out, but it's okay.
So I thought that was a marketing issue. One tiny thing before we get into the trade deadline. This blew me away. I like little stats, you know that.
Yeah. In fact, you just bought some more stats.
We'll talk about that probably more so on the deadline itself. Maybe I'll mention it a little bit today about advanced statistics and my nerd stuff.
Boner for
that stuff. We'll play a quick little game here, and it's called Guess the Player. On the Detroit Red Wings. Now you're going to get, let's say, 3 guesses. Okay. And I will, I don't even think I can give you really hot and cold. Okay. Maybe I can tell you if you're on the right position, possibly. I'll do that. Okay. I'll give you that. On your first guess, I'll tell you if it's a forward or defenseman, and then you can go with the next 2. Okay. Who leads the Detroit Red Wings currently in plus minus? The stat that I hate the most. Right position.
Danny DeKeyser.
Absolutely not.
Who else you got on defense there? I don't know your defenseman.
Ole Ulevi.
No.
Detroit just claimed Ole Ulevi, and I think I chirped him like crazy when he got waived like 5 episodes ago.
Yeah.
But we got him. Now he's a Red Wing, so he's amazing,
He's
right?
Be a stud.
5th overall pick by Vancouver.
Mark Stahl.
You got it.
For real?
Mark Stahl, plus 10.
I swear to God.
How? That's insane to me.
I don't get it, but
dude, why isn't he on our trade list? Spoiler alert. He's not on there. He's got no trade clause. It's the only player I think on the Wings with a no trade clause.
He might be like on the bottom of some of these bigger lists.
He is,
like,
because he might, but like he's making $2 million. But like I don't think he's going anywhere. I think Yzerman gave it to him just as a like, hey man, if you don't want to move, then like you can flex this if you really want to. But
yeah, if you want to, like if you have an opportunity, then why not? But
yeah, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Is what we are always really excited about,
and I like meat.
The trade deadline. And so, okay, I'm gonna walk through. We did this last year, exactly the same way. We're adding a few little things on the trade deadline. If people don't know, we said we get together, we watch. We're actually in the studio right now at my place.
The friendly confines of the Buschy and Bobo studio.
It's a garage. Shut up! It's not a garage. It's a studio.
Yeah.
And $1 million LED thing back here, 1080p, 4K. Yeah. That's what that is, right? Don't worry about this stuff. It's fine.
Bed sheet.
For sure, it's not. But okay, we did this last year. We got together. It wasn't a live stream. It was a live reaction podcast. So what we did, we watched TSN and Sportsnet all day. We're gonna have the 2 screens set up in here so we can watch both of them. And basically, we're not report. We used to do it where we would like report a trade. Dude, no one's listening to us.
Yeah.
They're looking at Darren Dreger and all that stuff. But I think it'd be fun. It's fun to react to them.
Yeah.
Break it down.
Our initial reaction,
Yeah. So we're going to do that. But the way that we did this, and we did it last year too, we didn't look at any, before anyone says anything, okay? We did not look at any like TSN, Trade Bait, Sportsnet, NHL, Fourth Period, what have you. We haven't looked at any of these top lists. What I have heard is some rumors here and there.
Yeah, you hear the guys that are going to be the top.
Yeah, like you hear about Claude Giroux and Ben Sherratt, like all these, some players that might move. Right?
It's hard not to see bits and pieces of these lists and whatnot.
You're watching the game, you're like, oh, by the way, this guy deadline's coming up. Like, you gotta, make sure maybe,
here's our top 10 guys that might get traded.
Right. But at the same time, I went, let's fly in blind. We did it last year too. So here's the process that me and Bobo used. What we did is first we went in and identified out of the 32 teams who's buying and who's selling, right? So we wrote down every team that's at the top that might be looking to buy a player, the guys at the bottom that we're going to sell, and there was a few that were kind of in the middle.
Yeah, Vancouver is a middle team.
Kind of like maybe they could do both if they wanted to.
Sell.
They could buy.
No.
Maybe.
Why? Well,
because they're 2 points out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's why they would. But that's why they would.
But it's not. We're
Yes,
not there yet.
but that's the debate. But that's the debate.
No, it's not a debate.
No, but it is because you are right there in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go for it? You're ready now. If you could get a piece, then go do it.
But at what cost?
Well, that depends. We're going to go through that. So we identified those teams. For the buyers, we looked at cap friendly, looked at their trade deadline cap hit, like or cap space, sorry, which is different from your actual cap space. I'm not sure how the math works on that, but I think it's technically prorated contracts from the deadline to the end of the season. Your cap hit is prorated at whatever that is. So anyway, some teams don't have really anything. Some teams have a ton. And, you got to look at things like teams retaining salary or a third team like Detroit getting involved.
Like brokering deals, and it's
like David Savard last year.
Yeah.
Right? Detroit took on some money.
Great Red Wings legend. Put his number in the rafters.
Put him up there, man. So we did that, found the cap hits. And then what we did was went on Daily Faceoff, love that site, and we looked at
line
combos and generally what the buyer teams would probably be looking for.
If you're looking at a certain position, looking at something a player might fit in there.
And when we say probably, it's just we're guessing. We're looking at it and going, here's what I think. But
because with my insider knowledge, I have none of that. We're just a bunch of blokes just sitting in a garage and studio with with some beers. And
so that's what we did. And said, here's the team needs, whether it be maybe a left winger and a backup goalie or a center and a right wing, whatever it was. Because of that, we would look at the sellers. And we also went back on cap friendly and looked at any players that these teams that are at the bottom would maybe sell, right? Unrestricted free agent rental players.
A lot of it, most of the guys we were looking at were...
Well, I'll tell you right now, we have a top 25, but out of the 33 players in the top, we have 5 players that are restricted, and we have 1 player with more than a year left. Every other player on this list is a UFA. So, but that's a rental, right? You pay to get the guy. Maybe, I would wonder what the stats are on a player being a rental and then re-signing with that team. I bet you it's pretty low, but it does happen if they fit. I can't really think of an example right off the top of my head.
Tyler Toffoli.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. So you did. Smart guy. Okay. So we went through all the players, sorted them by position, looked at their cap hit, looked at their contract situation, and tried to match them up. So that's how.
Is it going to? If we nail 5% of this correctly, then I'm happy.
Out of all of these players, there's one player that I have 8 like interested in him. Most of them are around 4, maybe 3 or 4. You have a lot because I don't know what you're doing. I was trying to just like most players that have, let's say, a cap hit of like $1 million, everyone can afford them.
Yep. That's how I sort of.
But does that mean that every one of those teams is interested in them? Probably not. It's hard to gauge a team's interest because we don't know what they're actually looking for, what they're looking at.
And what your interest might be totally different. Like, okay, you think at this, they're set down here, and I'm thinking totally different. So,
well, even in terms of like a team, if they want, let's say there's player A that's making $1 million, and there's player B making $1 million. Player A is more of like a penalty killer, and the other guy is more of a grinder, or like an enforcer. Like, what is that team actually looking for? Yeah, their contracts are the same, but the player is different.
Yeah.
What do they actually value? So
there's different variables that we don't know that teams are looking at.
We guessed last year about who you think, like, what's the best fit, but at the same time, you're trying to simulate the whole deadline. Like, most of these players probably won't move. To be honest with you, less than half of these guys will get traded. There'll be guys off the list that get moved too.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that like they're not going to get moved. It's just this is who we thought would be the top 25 in our opinion. So then what we did
educated opinion,
super educated. And so then I made my list, Bobo made his list of the top 25. And then we shared it with each other, had like maybe six
Couple
or seven
laughs.
anomalies where it was like, what are you thinking?
Couple laughs at each other, and then
Average them out and have an overall ranking. Now, we actually went through and went, well, should we change any of these, based off of maybe, one person we both think actually they should be higher? We left it because it actually was a pretty good
There
ranking.
was only one that on my list that we made a switch on.
Well, you switched one because you're like, oh, you know what? You made a good point.
Yeah, just because we did it.
We had a few vetoes.
Yeah, we didn't really use the veto at all.
We didn't.
We just used just the one. And when we calculated it and like afterwards and had our final list here,
well, it was more of something where I was like, well, explain why.
Yeah.
And you were like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, we need to change that.
No, this top 25 that we have, even the whole 30 whatever players we have,
what's the difference between 10 and 20? You know what I mean? They're all kind of the same type of player.
Arguably.
Also, when we ranked these, there's two things that we also had to average out. It was the best player. So we could make a list. Technically, out of this, we would change it completely. It's not just the best players from 1 to 25. It's also who do we think is most likely to move, and also who's the most tradable. So trying to factor all that in, we come up with this list.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? Because I said we did this without looking at TSN or Sportsnet or nothing. I went and looked at it after, like for my list. It's like 90% the same, not ranking wise, but the players. They do the same thing. They're looking at who's going to be a rental, who might be moved.
Why go to them when you can come to us?
Exactly, right? We're for free. So are they. Wait. No, TSN's not, but Twitter is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Without further dudes, let's get into this thing. So let's start with our buyers. So we'll go through all the buyers here. So for example, obviously buying Florida Panthers. They're at the top of the Atlantic Division right now. For the deadline, currently, this is what the hell day is it?
Today is the 6th.
March 6th.
15
As of
days.
March 6th. Okay, all of this stuff. Things might change. 3.9 million in cap space for the deadline. It's not a lot, but it's not nothing. You can get a lot of players for that. So I was looking at their team needs. I kind of looked in like their forward core. We broke down the Florida Panthers last episode. They're nasty.
They have a good team.
They blew the doors off the Red Wings the other day. I would say maybe a depth defenseman and possibly a backup goalie for Bobrovsky. I think Spencer Knight is a young kid. Maybe getting a guy that's more of a veteran just in case. That might be nice, but like a defenseman for sure, just because they're bottom pair. You can use an extra guy.
Defenseman for sure.
You can never have enough. Not that there's anything wrong with their defenseman. I think it's good, but
I think if they bring in a veteran defenseman there near the deadline, that'd be good. There were a couple of forwards that I was looking sort of down their list, and maybe if they wanted something at that bottom six, that fourth line possibly. There's a couple of guys that in our seller list there that may be an option, but the main focus I think for Florida, like I said, is going to be defense.
That's kind of what I think.
Maybe a back.
What about our next team there?
Tampa. Tampa's always at like the last 7 years or whatever. It seems like they've been at the top of the league, and they don't have much. They have like $100,000 in cap space.
They're right up against it.
Center wise, I don't think that they need much forward wise.
I don't have them really needing a whole lot just because they are pretty loaded up.
Yeah, maybe if like there was a couple defensemen I would say that like they could look at.
Yeah, if you get like retained salary, maybe throw a prospect back with maybe a little or maybe a minor league guy with a cap hit.
Even goaltending, like when I was looking at the goaltenders that we had available, like that we have listed, I don't think they really need anything.
You're going with Vassy, right? You don't want to spend on a backup.
You're going with Vassy. Like I was looking at a guy like.
You're nitpicking with both of these teams. They're
do you look at a guy like Halak, or do you look at? But then I looked at Halak versus Brian Elliott, and it's like Brian Elliott's playing a lot better. Right. So
just
keep the flow going.
Right. The next team that's always interesting around the deadline is the Toronto Maple Leafs. So especially here, being across from Detroit, it's a very Toronto, Detroit, and I'd say Montreal probably heavy market. Yeah. But they have $4.5 million in cap space. Now, another thing that we do have on here is long-term injured reserve. So Jake Muzzin right now is on LTIR with a $5.6 million salary. Now, we've talked about this in a past pod too, about how LTIR works and how, Kucherov and the kind of is that cap circumvention? Technically not, but it's weird that that's a rule, that there's no salary cap basically in the playoffs. So if Muzzin is out until the playoffs, I think he can come back and he won't count against the cap. So there's a few teams. So like, I'm just going to go through them real quick, just so you know. So like Toronto with Muzzin, Pittsburgh has Jason Zucker on LTIR, $5.5 million salary. Washington, Mantha. So he's back now. So this might have to be updated in terms of their cap space. They might have less. Vegas has Mark Stone with $9.5 million and Alec Martinez with 5.325. And then Edmonton has 4. They have Clefbaum at 4.2. I think he might be done. He's not even, he hasn't played all year. Cassian 3.2 mil. I think he might be done for the year too. Archibald with 1.5, and then Russell. Now those guys might be back. I checked this a few days ago, but those are all the guys
on that LTIR
at that time that were on the LTIR. So it affects your cap space. So Toronto, okay, we'll get back to them. So Muzzin, again, he's on LTIR. I have Toronto looking at maybe a centerman, maybe for like the bottom 6. And I also have them looking at a defenseman. I mean, technically, I feel like they need multiple. And currently, I didn't have it on here, but I mean, a goaltender, it's always the same issue with the Leafs. And I don't like really piling on because I'm a big Detroit guy. And I don't want to feel like I'm, being super biased here. But any Leafs fan, you can't argue the fact that this is a broken record over and over and over and over again. It's goaltending, it's defense. We need to get tougher. We need depth.
Justin Pogge, what's his face? That came from Vesatoskala. He was supposed to be Giguère.
No, but it just in the past, I'd say the past 3 years, like you've had the same core and it's been the same problems. So they're looking for the same things, and that's basically what it is: depth, defense, depth forward. I'd say a defenseman. I mean, how are you going to find a top 4 with that cap space? And they really have not a lot of picks left. They got a first year. They're going to have no picks in the next 3 years. It's insane.
No, and I had Toronto doing the same thing. Look, it's going for that bottom 6 forward. Maybe there's a couple of guys like
get Muzzin back and then okay, but like they've had
wingers. They don't need wingers, defense, and then I didn't have goalie originally, but it's something that you're hoping that Campbell was ready to take on that lead role, and this is the first time he's actually been a full-time starter. And
so, and then, I mean, Mrazek has been pretty bad since he's been there too. But the next team on our list is always, for some reason, I can see anybody going to these guys.
Yeah, Boston. Boston. They got, $5 million there in cap room. I can see them grabbing a second, third line, fourth line center. Maybe Boston is such a team that they'll try to make anything.
They'll grab anybody. It just seems like that. I have them taking like maybe a right winger.
Yeah, I have them someone on the left wing, possibly possibly another goalie there.
Because I have Swayman and Ullmark, and I don't know if they want to rock with those guys in the playoffs. They thought Rask would be back.
I think they're going to be going for a goaltender, like a Holtby guy, like a guy like Holtby or
that might be not a bad fit actually.
A guy with playoff experience who's been there. It seems like they can't afford Fleury, so but
they technically
could.
They technically could.
I see them go for a couple positions there. They're always a team that, I don't know, makes some sort of splash at the deadline.
The Hurricanes have 1.1 million in cap space. Really, the only thing looking at their squad, and I mean, I just saw them play Detroit the other day too, and Detroit beat them actually in overtime. Mason Raymond OT winner. I have them maybe looking at a defenseman and more bottom line. Like their 5th or 6th defenseman, some depth. Like I said, with a team like that, they don't really have that many holes. So it's something where I don't think they don't really have the room to make a huge move. I don't think they have to. I think they're already a good team and they don't need to really, do anything crazy. So looking at just the depth defenseman, I think for the Hurricanes.
I was pretty much the same thing with Carolina.
Yeah. We also are going through this for the first time right now in terms of what we thought these teams needed. So I'm finding some things out about each other here.
Yeah, Pittsburgh has just under $3 million at 2.9. Center-wise, I think they're set and moving into the playoffs. They can't really do much there. I can see them trying to make a splash on the right wing, somehow trying to get a bigger name right winger there. Aside from that, maybe a defenseman, maybe a goalie. You got 2 younger goalies there that, I don't know, maybe get something there. But...
I mean, Jerry wasn't an all-star, but so was Campbell. I don't think you can really put a lot of weight on being an all-star at this point. No. I have them also as just a right wing or a left wing. So just kind of wingers. I thought maybe, looking at a guy.
There's 3 guys down the center. Crosby, Malkin, Carter.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid, right?
Yeah.
You look maybe for a winger to score, but and then now here's an interesting one too. The New York Rangers have 32 million in cap space, so
That's
they can do a lot of things.
Everybody, get everybody.
And it's one thing where like the Rangers are interesting, and maybe we should break them down at one point in a future pod. But they, had some crazy luck getting Capo Caco and Alexis Lafreniere. But when you think New York Rangers, you don't think those two guys, right? You think Mika Zibanejad, you think Artemi Panarin, right? So like
I
those
still think
guys.
Lundqvist.
I know. Well, Igor Shesterkin has been unbelievable too, and that's something where we'll get into the advanced stats in terms of like teams and their, because it's one thing where the Rangers are really benefiting from Shesterkin having an incredible season, like almost a Hart Trophy, I'd say, candidate, right? So they have a lot of things that they can do. I mean, I have them looking at basically every forward position to basically shore up a little bit of maybe some scoring. I don't really have them looking at a goalie because they already got a Hart Trophy candidate. I mean, one guy that might be on like a trade list as maybe bait to get somebody is Georgiev, their backup.
Yeah.
He's kind of younger. Was he like 25, 26?
And I think he's on a couple lists there.
Yeah, when I looked, he was too. He wasn't on mine. But that's something where I look at it as, okay, this team has a lot of draft capital, prospects, young players. Is it something that they want to give up something young to get something now? With the Rangers, they can go a lot of ways. They could do nothing. I mean, they might go and blow the doors off and try to get like a Claude Giroux. I don't think they're not going to trade him probably in our conference. But like
I said, that's the one thing.
Their division, sorry.
He'd be if I'm the Rangers, I'm interested in him. But
sure, you're going to look. Yeah, you're going to make the phone call.
Oh, absolutely,
because you have cap space to get anybody on this list, multiple players. But do you want to give up the draft capital and all that? Where probably the draft capital has been the one thing that's got you here.
It's the Rangers. I pretty much I'm piggybacking on you on that. Pretty much everything but a goalie.
Right.
Next at the Capitals, I'm looking there because I got a horrible vision there. 3.9 mil. I think that's what it says.
Yep.
There's a couple for I don't see them going too much for their forwards.
I'm same. I think they'll go for a defenseman and they'll definitely go for a goalie.
More for defenseman than a couple goalies there. I have the most thing I have ticked off them is goaltending.
You know what would be interesting to see if they try to bring back Braden Holtby.
That's what a goalie I did have.
That'd be interesting.
Sort of marked on there for them.
Yeah, and so that's something with having two young guys like Samsonov and I can picture him, Vanacek.
It's
two young guys, but that's what they had last year too. They had two young guys, and I think they tried to get Lundqvist, right? That was kind of what their deal was.
And then they even had Craig Anderson. But I think they bring in someone like Holtby as the backup or as a 1B. And
so another team at the top of this is at the top of the West is the Colorado Avalanche. And the biggest rumor that I have heard is Claude Giroux.
That's
with Colorado. The Avalanche have 3.9 million in cap space. They'd have to move some salary around, have Philly
I think Kadri might go back the other way and something like that.
Are you high?
Not right now.
Do you know that Kadri is like top 5 in points right now?
Is he really?
He's like, yeah.
Fuck.
Guy's having like a career year. Why the fuck? Holy shit. This is the educated guy right here.
See ya. See you next year.
He's fired. See you, buddy. Yeah, I'll just take it from here because that was insane. I mean, he's gone. He's never coming back. I'm not letting him back on this show. Hey, buddy. What's up? So, he had.
I didn't know Kadri was having that.
As I'm chatting about the Colorado Avalanche, I want you to fucking look up Nazem Kadri's stats right now, okay?
Sure.
Look up the NHL leaders, okay? And so anyway, Colorado. I look at maybe that their biggest fish in the sea right now might be Claude Giroux. Can play at center, play at the wing. Obviously very versatile.
Holy fuck! He is doing good.
He's got 70 points, dude. I mean, he's on a great team, but like, holy crap!
Yeah, but
go look at the team. Go at the league leaders.
Like,
go look at the league leaders right now. Okay. Educate this fool.
Keep talking about Colorado while I look at this.
The only other thing I maybe have them looking at is a right winger. If they take a swing and a miss on Claude Giroux, I mean, there's not really a lot out there that they can maybe go at, like a Ricard Raquel, kind of a Giroux 0.2, whatever you want to call it. There are some guys that they can still go after. They can still grab a depth defenseman if they really wanted to as well. So, the Avalanche, they can make some moves. The next team would be the St. Louis Blues, and they are right up against the cap.
My turn to go.
No, you're looking up. You're looking up some stats. Look them up.
You take St. Louis.
Look them up right now. Points, click, leaders. Look at that. What is that? 6th?
Yeah, good for him.
We should trade him for Claude Giroux.
Fuck yeah.
Jesus. Anyway, now that we got that all sorted out, we just lost the small credibility we had left.
We never had any credibility to begin with.
We didn't gain any. That's for sure.
Still got it. You still got the
I don't got nothing, man. That was awesome. I thought you were joking.
I was. You got me. Yeah.
A joke.
Yeah. It was
Holy
a joke.
crap.
It's just a joke.
Why you have to be mad? Okay, St. Louis.
What do you have St. Louis trying to get here? Because I know they have no money.
They have no cap space. Defenseman. That's pretty much it. I don't really know who they would really be going after here. I think they're in a point now where it's like
Tyler Ennis. That's who they're going to get.
Hey, you know what? He's having a good year too.
He makes under $1 million.
Yeah. So that something like that maybe they call it a hockey deal. That's another thing. Why the hell do they call it a hockey deal?
Everything's a hockey deal.
For people that don't know, a hockey deal is like a player for a player, which is like, no shit. That's what a trade is. But like a team, like a player that's playing on the squad for a player that's playing on the other squad. You don't see that a lot.
Good hockey move.
It's a good hockey move. You'll hear that like 14 times on TSN, guaranteed.
Before 10 o'clock.
So I'm kind of skipping on the St. Louis Blues because I really don't know what they're
St.
going to
Louis,
do.
yeah, they don't
their
have
team
much.
needs. I said defense.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. They're still a good team, though. I will say.
Minnesota has 10.5 here as of when we checked it, and they're a team where I can see them making a move on a second, third line center, a right wing, like possibly looking at a winger there, defense possibly.
Possibly is everything. I have them. I have them
pretty much taking a look at everything.
Yeah, they can afford to. They can grab a few guys for sure. I have them, center and a left winger maybe. Again, like a guy
forward,
like
I think
Ricardo
is going to be their top. Is going to be their top thing.
Kubalik maybe from Chicago. Like there's a few players that might fit Minnesota just because they're another team that has some young guys.
Brock Besser going to go back to his home state.
Oh boy, well, they could. They really could if they wanted to.
Yep.
So Calgary, 0.9 in cap space. The only thing I have them looking at just for the deadline is maybe a goalie. They already have Markstrom. They could look for a little bit of depth there. I don't know if you had anything different than that because they already picked up Tyler Toffoli. So I count that as a deadline acquisition.
Yeah, I think bringing Toffoli was their big forward splash.
Yeah.
I hear rumors. Giordano's going to go back to Calgary.
They don't have the space. I don't know how they would make that.
I don't know either.
That's the thing is you can never really look and just look at the cap space and go, it's not possible. Well, it is. It's something where there's a lot of ways. Like I said, getting a third team involved, moving cap space around. Like waiving players. That have hits. There's a lot of things you can do. Move a player for nothing to open up cap space. That's what happened with Fleury.
Yeah.
From Vegas, they're like, we value you taking him because of his cap hit. We're not going to take anything from you because that's actually the value is losing his cap hit.
Yeah.
So you take it, whatever, right?
So Giordano, I heard Giordano, maybe a defense, but said their forwards, I think they're pretty much done with.
I think they're done.
Yeah. LA has 7.9 mil as of when we've done this, and
they're in an interesting spot too because they're having a pretty good year, which was shocking.
Wasn't last year or the year before they were absolutely dog ass?
Yeah, because they got Quentin Byfield.
So I could see them trying to with under 8 mil, you got some room there. You got some playing room there to look at a center. I'm looking at a winger.
I haven't looked at forwards basically.
Yeah, I see a couple of the lower value defensemen there.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you look at a veteran backup?
They do have one quick. You got Cal Peterson and you got Jonathan Quick. I don't think they need a goalie at all, honestly.
So. Then you look, then I think more on the forward side there for them.
I think there's a lot of, we're just being so generic. There's a lot of players over there. We're going to talk about the players, guys, okay? So you're talking generic. That's what I feel. But we're going to get to that, okay? We matched it all up. Don't worry. We'll cut to the chase. Okay, I want you to do the next one, please.
What, Vegas?
Yeah.
I don't know how they're still in the playoffs. I thought they would have no cap room already.
Eichel's back, Stone's out.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, how do these guys have 5.2 million cap room right now?
Well, we just talked about the LTIR, so that's why.
But
then, like, think about it. Stone can come back for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Martinez back for the playoffs for like $48 million over the cap. I made that up, but
I think like going for a winger. Like I don't think they needed necessarily a center.
Mm-hmm.
I marked a few cheaper ones down, but I don't think they need that. Maybe a defenseman.
Like the Mesnikov.
Did I have Nemesnikov?
Hell, JVR. You want him? He's got 2 years left. You know, you could grab. But that's the thing is like you don't want guys with 2 years. So never mind Vegas. It's like you want a guy, you know, Rickard Rakell.
Yeah, like a guy like Rickard Rakell would be solid.
He was on our list last year too. He was
a guy. Yeah, I thought we both thought he was going to get dealt.
Yeah, but
and then
he signed a 1 year.
Possibly, like they could be going in on defense. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do the next team. By the way.
It's that's why you're drinking right now. And before you do get into the next team, I just want you to look at how many X's I have for them because I'm thinking in the mind of Kenny Holland here.
Oh my God! There's like a billion.
Every goalie.
Holy shit! The Edmonton Ken Hollands. I love ripping on the guy. I know we do it all the time, but it's just dude,
it's a broken record.
I can't help it. Like it's just every freaking week with this guy. It's so funny, and to see on Twitter is just it makes me laugh. And I'm so happy he's not with Detroit anymore. Okay, the Oilers have 1.2 million in salary cap space because they have 4 guys on LTIR. So they basically have $13, and they literally need everything.
I think their biggest thing is the goaltender.
Yeah. I mean, no, defense. No, wait, no, forwards. Other than McDavid and Draisaitl.
Every coach.
A left winger, and then some depth.
And a GM.
Training stuff. Listen, they need a lot. And you know what? They have been playing better since they got Jay Woodcroft as coach. And it's funny what a coaching change can do to you. You see what's happened with Montreal.
7-4 since St. Louis.
All he did was
show them his quads.
Maybe, but like all they did was went from a zone defense to man defense. Like watching the game, it's so obvious now. They're not running around. They know where to be, you know, and then they're letting them kind of be creative, play their game. And that's why you see a guy like Cole Caulfield, you know, he's had like insane numbers under St. Louis, right? So it's a coaching change like they did in Edmonton. It was the only thing Ken Holland could have done. So this wasn't something that was like, oh, this is going to do it. It's his hands were tied. I can't make another move. I got Evander Kane. I have no cap space. What do you want me to do? We're rocking with Koskinen and Mike Smith. I have to change my coach. It's the only, that was the last ditch effort that he could save this thing. And it's somehow kind of working.
I bet you we're going to hear on the trade deadline something about there's going to be calls from Edmonton to Chicago on Marc-Andre Fleury.
Of course.
They don't have the room, but they're still
of course. They'll try and find a way. But then the thing is, if it doesn't work this year, it's not going to work this year.
Edmonton is going to miss
They're screwed, man.
Vancouver is going to sell, and they're going to jump Edmonton in the playoffs.
That would be hilarious. Actually, I think that would be the funniest thing. Would you shoot the boot on that? You know what?
Right? Let's call it here. I'll shoot the boot.
So if Vancouver sells and Edmonton
and jumps Edmonton for the playoffs,
no matter what Edmonton does.
So
if Vancouver sells and makes the playoffs over Edmonton,
then I'll shoot the boot.
Wait, you think it's going to happen? You don't think it's going to happen?
No, I do think it's going to happen. So if it doesn't, then I'll shoot the boot.
Okay.
Fuck it. Why not?
Right, we got it. We'll put it on the board. Okay, and then the last team. Now this is one where there's a few teams like in the middle, and I think Vancouver isn't really Edmonton, on our buyers, but
no, they're going to sell. Yeah, they better.
But
sell.
Anaheim, right?
Anaheim has the money for it.
$54 million in deadline cap space, right? What do you do if you're Anaheim? Because you're in the middle of the pack. You're younger team.
You got younger players, but then you got your old, like you have
Henrique and Getzlaf. You know, is Fowler old? Fowler's not really old. He's like 27, 28.
Fowler's old.
No, is he 30? He's kind of around.
He's a 1990. He's a 1991.
Okay,
somewhere.
So yeah, but he's still kind of more in his. I guess is he in his prime? I don't know what the prime of your career might be, like mid-20s now, honestly.
By the way the game's going now, yeah.
But they could. I have them looking at basically everything.
Yeah.
You know, why not? You have the space for it. I would explore everything. Like Anaheim might be the team where they might do something nuts. They might just hang tight, because
they're
they have the space.
They're a team that's at that bubble right now.
Like,
they're the ones that could shoot right up near the top of the standings.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and I kind of look at them, even like the Rangers, they're in the same boat of like, you have all this cap space. Would you rather give up assets to get players or just wait for free agency? Where you can go like, hey man, we can throw some money at you. And although this is a rental, right?
Yeah.
It's off your books. But at the same time, Anaheim is a team, and New York, really, they're a team that could take on some term. So, the Rangers maybe like looking at Jacob Chikrin. That might be interesting. He's got 3 years left. Anaheim looking at a guy like, do you look at like a JVR? Something like that. Or do you try to rip like Konechny from the Flyers? Like there's a few where like you can look at guys that have some cap hit and some term because you can afford it. It has to fit your model though, because eventually you're going to have to pay Trevor Zegras and Sonny Milano and Jamie Drysdale. You're going to have to give these guys the money that, same thing with Detroit. Like we talk about that too. Sider, Raymond, they're going to get paid, dude. Like
mad money.
They're going to get some cheddar, like 8-year deal, and you're making 7-8 mil, 100 easily, right?
And
so you need space
Little
for
Caesar's pizza.
100%, which I don't even know if you'd want that.
It's something to eat.
So those were the teams that we looked at that might be buying, the few that were maybe in the middle. It's hard to say, because even like LA, you can argue that. Do you go for it? But yeah, and LA. So do you want to maybe get into the top 25? We'll go through, like, we do have 33 players on the list, but our top 25, we'll go with that. So again, we averaged out what we thought was going to happen with what I thought was going to happen with what you thought was going to happen in terms of top.
And then we came up with
our
list.
When we do this, I'll say what our overall rank was, and then I'll say where I had them. You can say where you had them, and then maybe why. And we kind of went through like maybe a team where you think they might end up. The thing is we can't simulate the whole trade deadline, because we might say, okay, we think this player is going to go here, but they might be like 7 other places where he might go here. Like that would be a good fit as well, because it's the same type of player. It doesn't mean they're all going to that team. So if we say Hursty, if we say someone's going to Calgary, it doesn't mean that they're all 5 of them are going to go there. I'm just saying it's a fit. Okay.
No, everyone on this list is going to Calgary.
Every one of them, every single one of them. Jack Eichel to the Flames. Let's go. There's no way.
Austin Matthews, Flames.
Number one on our list is the only player on the list that is not a rental. Okay. We just talked about him. Jacob Chikrin from the Arizona Coyotes. He's 23 years old. He has 3 more years left, and then he's a restricted free agent. Makes $4.6 million, and he is a player on the Coyotes that's one where I went off of more rumors. Yeah. Because with the Coyotes trying to, honestly, I think their salary cap, they're trying to be as close to the floor as possible. Eventually, you're going to have to pay this guy. Maybe they'll move him now because he has so much value.
And they got to pay all this rental fee now to Arizona State University.
And the Coyotes it is a weird situation there, where it's like they're not being run like a regular NHL team at all.
They're not even being run like a CHL team.
So I had him overall ranked number 2 on my list.
And I had him at 1.
So basically on the same page. There's a few we're definitely not on the same page.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll see it. And it happened last year too.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the top 10, pretty interchangeable, I'd say. So where do you think like a guy like Jacob Chikrin could maybe end?
I had him at so many places there. Like you see,
okay, pick one maybe. Pick one that maybe you think would be
like
the place.
The Rangers may call on him.
I was gonna say maybe the Rangers would look.
Like I have teams at Boston looking at him.
Sure.
Then I have teams like with like no cap, like Toronto, because I've heard that so much. Like
but they have nothing to give up. You know what I mean?
And then Kenny Holland's going to try to take a look at him, but he won't get him. But I think if I had come down to it, I think like New York would be a place for him.
I think I would agree with maybe the Rangers if that was going to happen. Anaheim could look at that too, but I don't think Arizona would fire him to, again, a division rival.
I think
for 3 more years. There's no way they would do it. Unless they overpay. Anaheim would have to overpay for it. I don't know if they would do that, but
that's why I'm thinking New York.
So who's number 2 on our list?
Number 2, he's also the big name floating out there. Mr. Claude Giroux from the Philadelphia Flyers, 34 years old. He is a UFA with that $8.2 million salary this year. lot of speculation, like he's going to go to a top end team. Colorado is.
I said Colorado just because
it's going to be Colorado.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best one because he said he's only going to waive. He has a no trade clause, right? I think so. So he's only going to waive it for a team that is going to be a contender.
I don't see Philly trading him anywhere to New York or anywhere in the East.
Because like we said, has there been? You don't want him re-signing with that team. Although if he's a free agent, he'd go wherever he wants.
At the same time, I could see Anaheim if Anaheim's buying, I could see them going after him. But I think in the end, it's going to be.
They could, but are they really a contender? Like, is Drew going to be like, oh yeah, the Ducks, awesome, let's go. Colorado.
I see him moving it to go. Yeah, I see him moving it to go to Colorado.
So I would say more the Avalanche. Now I had him ranked. Use my number 1.
Yeah, and I had him at 5 just because of his cap. But then when we were going back and forth, not back and forth, sort of explaining it, it's I wasn't taking into consideration that Philly may eat half of it for him. So
if I really think about it, because I have him at number 1 because he's such a great player, but also I could have put him a little bit lower too because there's only going to be a few teams really looking at him.
Yeah.
So is he really trade bait? Not really. I mean, he's kind of picking his own place to go. Number 3 on our list is from the Dallas Stars defenseman, John Klingberg, 29 years old, $4.25 million cap hit. Again, all these guys are free agents. We'll say if they're restricted, though, it makes a little bit of a difference for sure in terms of cost and control. But he's unrestricted at the end of the year. He's requested a trade this year, if I'm not mistaken. Defenseman that I think the one thing that's kind of changed with Dallas is Miro Heiskanen being a stud. And, kind of Klingberg getting pushed aside a little bit. I think because of his cap hit, he's very affordable for a team that needs a defenseman, especially if you figure all of these cap hits, half them, okay? Because, teams will retain to get something from a player if a team doesn't have cap hit. And then, again, a la Red Wings, right? You think about you can actually have it again, right? To retain an extra 50%. So you can almost save 75% on a guy. So pennies on the dollar, but you'll have to give up some stuff. So I had Klingberg at number 5 on my list.
Yeah, I'm right. I'm at 3.
Right. So. And I think, again, behind Chychrun, I think he's the number 1 rental defenseman out there in terms of now. I think he's more of an offensive type defenseman. So if you're looking for that, a guy to be on your power play, your first or second power play, even, I think a team that's buying, he's probably going to be on your second unit because you're obviously pretty good. So again, that's something I think we'll look at further on the deadline, is looking at the actual teams and looking specifically, like we didn't have time to do that, but specifically, are you looking for a power play defenseman? Yeah. Are you looking for a penalty killing winger? Are you looking for, because then things really start to match up and you can really start to maybe predict where some of these guys are going to maybe end up, right? So number 4,
we had from the Montreal Canadiens, Ben Sherratt, 30 years old, 3.5 mil. He was my second player there.
I have him rated 8. And honestly, I was going to rate him a lot lower. And there are reasons for that.
And you know what? Once you showed me those reasons, because I came to Buschy's and he showed me this new stats thing he's showing. And
advanced stats are interesting because they're trying to put a lot of stats together into, it's almost like Moneyball, right? They're trying to get it down to like a percentage, a number comparative across the whole league, or like certain players in a position, right? So someone's going to overpay for Ben Sherratt.
Well, absolutely. He's going to get they're going to get a first rounder for him.
Montreal, if they get a first round pick for Ben Sherratt,
they will.
You take it and run. You don't ask for anything more. You grab it and get out of there, right? Now that's the thing.
Looking at those advanced stats that you were showing me earlier, I see why you had him lower, and it makes sense.
Right. So that's why I was like, that's why I think he's in 8 for me. I think it's high. I think there's no way I would be, if I'm a team looking at that, because the cost is high, and also it's just not really that he's not that good. I don't think he's that good. Okay. I'm just going to say that. But for the Canadians fans out there, don't worry. You're getting something for him.
You're getting a first.
Someone's overpaying for him for sure. So number 5 is from your Canucks, JT Miller. Yep. So 29 years old, 5.25 cap hit. He's unrestricted at the end of the year. Interesting, because we did talk about this before we started the pod. And remember when we did our original 6 draft, I picked JT Miller,
you picked him
kind of high because in the last 2 or 3 years, he's been scoring.
He's been playing so well in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And his rate, his value is so high right now. Like I had him at 8. I think you had him 3 there. JT Miller, like I'm as a Vancouver fan, I've been saying it this whole pod. Sell, sell, sell. He's a guy that I feel is going to go to the New York Rangers. We're going to get something decent in return.
Wasn't he there already?
There, or then Boston as well, as I hear is
No. I mean,
I think he
was with the Rangers at one point, right?
But I hear the Rangers are interested in him. I hear Boston's interested. You know what? JT Miller, your value is high. Go win a cup or go compete for a cup with a contender, because I don't think this is the year for Vancouver to try to contend.
My argument was that because they're 2 points out of a playoff spot, maybe you keep him because he's only 29 and he's on a pretty good cap hit, and then you maybe try to resign him. The only thing that I'll agree with you is you don't want to lose him for nothing, because there's no guarantee that he's going to stick around.
No.
But I think arguably he's your best player. If Vancouver was where they were like before Boudreau, like Miller might be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Arguably, he might be 1 or 2 just because he's lower because I don't know if they're selling. I don't know if they're moving.
Yeah, because we're in such a.
If they do, he's high up, right?
Yeah.
You go with number 6.
We're going with hot dogs. Phil Kessel from the Coyotes there. 34, making $8 million. Where do I had him at 10, you had him at 4. Phil is a guy I feel he can go to a place like, I think 2 of the teams I put him back were going back to Boston and then even going back to Pittsburgh. Either one of those teams, he could fit in on that in the second, third line even. And he doesn't have to be the guy. Both those teams have so much firepower. He could just be a solid role player. Eat your hot dog on the bench, do your job, and drink your hot dog water and win a cup.
Kessel's an interesting one because he has that $8 million. You half that, it's 4. You get a third team involved, it's 2. Like you could get him even if you're a team that doesn't really have that much space. If you're maybe a Carolina, and you see Carolina trying to pull that off too. Maybe throw a player that makes $1 million or 2 back at the Coyotes, which is probably what they want. And you could probably find a guy, on their team that has a couple of years left, maybe $1 million or 2 salary. Here, take them, because they need to fill out the roster.
Phil in Florida even.
Phil in Florida would be interesting too. I don't know if they
really need him, but
yeah. So I kind of
at the right price though.
The Hurricanes might be interesting. Keep an eye on them, even though they don't have a lot of cap space. If there's one guy that they be surprising, it might be the Carolina going after like Phil Kessel. It'd be interesting.
I feel Boston's gonna get him again.
They could. Number 7 on our list is Mark Giordano from the Kraken. He's 38 years old, $6.75 million UFA at the end of the year. The reason I think I have him high, and I had him at number 7, and so did you. That was the only one we had exactly the same. Is I think people will overpay, like teams will overpay for experience, which is something where I go, is it that important? You can't really quantify that much.
With Giordano too, I think they're going to overpay for him just because
he was the
captain in Calgary. He's the captain in Seattle. Like,
yeah,
I know it doesn't really mean like, yes, he's a leader and whatnot, but wearing the C, I think is just going to help Seattle get more back than what they should.
Yeah. Like 2 teams that I have is maybe the Panthers, just to have that like more veteran guy at the back. If Anaheim is buying, they have a ton of space. They could go for him as well. I think Calgary's a pipe dream. They don't have any cap space, and I don't think it really fits.
That's a team I said to you before. It was Calgary, I heard, but Florida would be I feel like a good fit for him.
Number 8, we got a pretty interesting
Rickard Rakell. Right? Yeah, Rickard Rakell, the guy who we thought was good. Like he was our number 1 or number 2 last year on our list.
Top, yeah.
And you know what? If Anaheim is selling, he's the guy that's got to go.
Right.
I had him at 6. You had him at 9.
Yep. And I mean with Rakell,
3.8. There's suitors for him.
That's the one where I have a ton of teams looking at him. I think maybe an interesting one would be any team I think that's looking at Claude Giroux that won't get him might look at a guy like Rickard Rakell as like a kind of, what do you call that? Kind of a backup, it's off-brand. Like an off-brand. Yeah, like an off-brand Claude Giroux.
Great value.
Minnesota possibly might look at a guy like him. They need a winger. I think that would probably fit the mold for Minnesota, just kind of like boring hockey, so maybe pick up Rickard Rakell, I guess, because I don't really have Minnesota on this list a ton. So I'm just going to say that because that's a need and it kind of fits, I would probably say that's where he's going to go.
That makes sense. Minnesota, Carolina.
Maybe. Yeah. Am I doing this one?
That's
okay.
you.
Number 9. Okay. Not Elias Lindholm. Hampus Lindholm, also from the Anaheim Ducks, 28 years old, 5.2, same boat as Rickard Rakell. If they make him, they want to sell, then, I think this is a thing with both of these guys. They'll listen to offers, they'll have an ear on both sides, and we're buying, selling, who's available, who can we move, what's the market price, right? Where you could easily take these guys, and this might be something where you flip Rakell to get a pick, to use that pick to get a different guy, to retool, reshuffle, grab a guy with term that's maybe not on this list. We talk about Chychrun with 3 years. There's other guys that have a couple extra years, like he's not on our list, but James Van Riemsdyk, he's got 2 years left with Philly. Is that maybe a fit? Like, could Anaheim grab a guy like JVR and have him for an extra season? Yeah, they could. We were just talking about
Tatar, even
a guy like Tatar. Yeah, I mean, looking at the guys on here that have a couple. Yeah, Tatar was one of them. That was kind of it, honestly. But
I think Anaheim, they may have 1 or 2 players that they're going to try to go after. If they can't get them, then I can see them just being like a sell team.
Right. So what did I have him at? I had Lindholm at number 6. You had him 12. So.
But then the next guy we got up is the guy that been rumored to want out of Boston is Jake DeBrusk. There, 25 years old, 3.675. He's an RFA. I had him at 4.
I had him at 19. I got to explain myself. I had him at 19 because I don't know if the Bruins will move him. I really don't, because that's the thing with restricted free agents. They still have control of him, right? I don't know how much leverage he really has. I don't think he has any. This is more of a...
I see him being a pawn for them. If they're going to go after a guy,
he's a trade piece. So maybe that's why, and that's why you had him so high, is because you're like, well, I have Boston going after these big fish. This is another piece.
You still have control on them.
Exactly. So that's where I understand that. I'm on the other side where I'm like, they don't have to do anything with them. So that's why I had him low, and that's why he ends up 10th, which is pretty good. So I feel like from here on, you want to kind of just like fly through the rest of these. Those are kind of the meat and potatoes, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just do like three at a time. We'll do like little chunks. We'll kind of get through them because we have some fun.
The next one I'm taking 11.
Okay.
Because it's my boy, Brock Besser. Well, not my boy. Guy from my team. I think Vancouver trades him. He's making what right now?
5.87.
Yeah, 5.87. He's going to get north of 6.
And he's restricted.
6.5. He's RFA. Yeah. We just signed Connor Garland to a 4-year deal. He's the same age, same position.
I think he's better.
Connor Garland's playing a lot better. Yeah, Connor Garland's playing a lot better.
And again, with the advanced stats I showed you, like Besser's very average, like extremely average. He's decent on the power play, pretty like above average but
try to get something for Besser while he has.
And his shooting percentage is pretty high. Like, so it's one of those things where he's a very average player, and I think he could still obviously.
He looks like a stud, but
he does. But
I think they trade him to try to get something. Try him well we can.
Yeah. From here on out, I don't know if I want to really do like who we're matching these guys with, just because there's a lot of teams that can grab these ones because they're kind of all more in the middle.
Place. Yeah.
So number 12 is actually a really, really good player from San Jose, Thomas Hertl. He's lower for us because I don't think San Jose will move him. He's their best player. I think they're going to probably try and lock him up. 28 years old, they can still sign him. San Jose's weird. Like, they'll sign him to a 7-year deal. You watch. You know what I mean?
And he's not the guy he was 2 years ago or whatnot. Or
sure he is, dude. You've seen his stats?
He's been
pretty good.
He's their best player, but it's like I said, I don't think that he's a guy that necessarily will move.
Right. That's why he's lower. And then here's an interesting one. You would think the number 1 goalie on our list would be Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, just yesterday, there was a rumor that said, Fleury asked not to be traded. That might be a smokescreen. I don't know. He doesn't have a no trade clause. It's just the gentleman's agreement with the Blackhawks. But that was with Stan Bowman Kyle Davidson's the new GM in Chicago. He might be like, no, so you're going. Because Fleury does have some value. There are teams looking for a veteran goalie. Stanley Cup winner to 3 times now? Yeah. I mean, well, he wasn't really the starter for one of them. But anyway, for 2 of them, actually. He was 09. He was a backup to Murray for that 2 of them. Right? Yeah. Anyway, and then went to the final of Vegas. So now the number 1 is actually Braden Holtby, believe it or not, because, and he's at 13, because he's 32. He's only making $2 million. He's UFA at the end of the year. And
his numbers compared to the last 2 years have been amazing.
Right. When it was with Vancouver, it just didn't work.
Yeah. And his last year in Washington, he's god awful.
He's very affordable. And like I was just saying, like, I think that's something where Washington might take a run at him and try to get him back, right? Because
as a backup or a 1B goalie, he's the perfect fit for something like Washington.
Right. And I mean, technically Edmonton, man, like that's the guy I probably would go after.
If I'm Edmonton, yeah.
If I'm Edmonton, I'm going after him for sure. But you're going to have to overpay because I know, right? If I'm looking at Edmonton, I know you need a ton of shit. So you're overpaying me for that. You're giving me like a 2nd round pick for Braden Holtby.
Yep.
You know? And then we got a Detroit Red Wing. We got Vladislav Namestnikov, 29 years old, $2 million. Very affordable, having a very good year with the Red Wings, actually, very surprisingly. Slava Kozlov's nephew.
There we
if
go.
You knew that. Looks like he really, really likes playing in Detroit. As a Red Wings fan, I wouldn't mind bringing him back for another year. Because he can slot in all over the place. He's been on the top line with Larkin and Raymond. He's been on the 3rd line.
Good utility.
He's a penalty kill. Yeah, he is kind of a utility guy. He brings some fire. I really do like the way he's been playing this year compared to last year.
Compare him to another Detroit legend, like another Detroit utility player. He is the Wings version of Donnie Kelly.
No, he's not. He's really not.
Kelly,
he can't play goalie. He can't play goalie. For people that don't know, that is a Detroit Tigers utility legend. Donnie Kelly, baby. So I don't think Namestnikov's going anywhere, but if there was a guy with worth on the Red Wings, it's probably him. So
Kelvin DeHaan, we got next there from the Islanders, making 4.5. He's a guy that, I don't know, if you're looking at a defenseman there, why not?
Yeah. I mean, he's a veteran guy, and I mean,
as a vet, he's still a younger vet.
Yeah, 30 years
old, still got the legs in him. Mm-hmm. Was that Trey Lekkinen there from the Canadiens, the winger?
Restricted.
RFA, so
a little bit of value there, and it depends because now I was talking with Lou the other day in terms of Montreal and like what they should be doing. It's interesting because you have a coaching change. They were terrible with Ducharme, even though they were in the finals last year. They swept the Jets with Ducharme out with COVID. Like, I don't think it was a fluke. I think Price played out of his mind. And honestly, like, Montreal played really well. They deserve to be there. But now with St. Louis, they're a completely different team like we just were talking about. Is it a rebuild? I don't think it's a rebuild. Lou said it was kind of more of like they should retool.
Yeah.
And in terms of like, don't sell all these guys. Sherratt, get rid of them because you can get, some for him. Lekkinen, I think you resign him. He's restricted, right? It's another guy that he's been on the 4th line. He's been on the top 6. It's, I think Lou thought he was going to be a 30 goal scorer. I'm like, there's no way. But I don't think he's going to go anywhere.
Montreal scored 30 goals as a team this season?
It's been close, man. A guy that I thought I rated him
you had
top 10. I had him top 10. You don't have him rated, which was a big discrepancy. It was Andrew Kopp with Winnipeg. Now, like, they might not sell. The Jets might not be sellers.
They're another one of those middle teams.
Yeah, I mean, but they've been kind of meddling, and I don't know what they're doing. Andrew Kopp would be an awesome addition to someone's, if they needed a top 6 center, but most of it's like 3rd line center. I think he's got that defensive, the grit. He's got a little bit of everything. 2-way forward. So I think I actually valued Kopp pretty high because I think he would be perfect for a like playoff team that wants to go the distance.
Yeah.
Just looking at him, kind of the eyeball test. It only makes $3.6 million. He's 27, so you can re-sign him if you want to. I think if he hits the open market, he probably gets 5 or 6. I think he gets like the Hyman deal, maybe a little bit less, but you just don't hear about him that much because he's not in Toronto.
No.
Right. Number 18, you didn't have him rated either, and I had him at 12, but it's another restricted free agent from Chicago. It's Dominic Kubalik. So that guy had a 30-goal season like a year or two ago. So more of a goal scorer, offensive guy. winger. At 3.7 mil, he's very affordable. Being restricted probably adds a little bit of value too, because you have him under control. He's not a rental. Chicago's in a weird spot. Not even weird. Like, they should be selling. They should be moving on. They have a new GM now. What's his direction? What is he going to do?
Trade Patty Kane. That's what he's going to do.
We're going to go through some mock trades from fans on Cap Friendly and just see what
the
the hell's going on there.
We're
going to have some fun with that in a second. But yeah. And then moving on to another Blackhawk, we just talked about Marc-Andre Fleury, $7 million for UFA. He might be going somewhere. Teams will ask about him,
Yep.
And if you're Chicago, you have to listen. The whole gentleman's agreement, yeah, great. I mean, what Vegas did to Fleury was like, wow, that was out of nowhere. But
if there's the opportunity for him to go to a contending team,
yeah, like Vegas,
if you can go to say but like
Washington, wouldn't that be sacrilege, right? To see him go there, Pens fans would probably shit themselves. They did, yeah. Okay, I'm going to fly through these last little bit, okay? This is just the bottom 5. So Josh Manson, he's hurt right now from Anaheim, 30 years old.
So I didn't have him ranked. You did.
Nick Leddy from Detroit, same type of thing, 30 years old, 5.5 UFA. Then we had Tyler Mott from Vancouver at 1.8 because he's 1.225. He's affordable, 26 years old, bottom 6 guy, Michigan Wolverine, right? Justin Braun from the Flyers, 35. He's a veteran, 1.8 mil.
Cheap defenseman.
Bottom 6 type guy, or bottom pair, sorry.
Bottom pair there.
Max Domi, Columbus, 26 years old. I mean, Columbus doesn't really have a whole lot of guys to sell. No. So that's why he probably, I should have probably rated him because there's really no one Columbus can get.
Domi is the guy where it's been, I put it in my notes. I think he needs to fit in that find that right role, find a contending team, find his role. But we've said that how many times with him getting traded before.
Right.
So.
And then our last player on the list was Yaroslav Halak from Vancouver.
And I
36 years old.
Himself.
He did, but at the same time, the goalie market is pretty slim. Really, we figured only 7 guys. And one of them that should be on our list that isn't is Anton Forsberg from the Senators. He's having a pretty good season for a 0.9 mil guy. Grice isn't going anywhere from Detroit. Martin Jones is no good. Korpisalo's on the IR. That's the other guy from Columbus that maybe they'll do something with because they got Merzlikins. And then we had Fleury, Halak, and Holtby. So there's slim pickings for goalies, right? So, and that's why the market's going to be high for them. That's why I think Edmonton's screwed for that.
Yeah, I think
they're going to have to be rocking.
They
and then
themselves.
We'll go real quick about the other guys that either I had rated or you didn't have rated. And
or
so real quick.
versa.
So Keith Yandel, Paul Stastny, PK Subban, Zdeno Chara, Brett Kulak, Rasmus Ristolainen, Colin Miller, and Owen Tippett. So those are kind of the top 33. I said 25, but the 33 that we had, obviously me and Bobo didn't have the exact same 25 players. So obviously we had 7 difference. Yeah, 7 guys difference. So most of them were rated in one way or another by both of us. So so if whatever you think of our list, I mean, that's kind of what we're expecting to see. And
feel free to roast me too on that whole
leave a comment below and tell us how stupid Bobo is and maybe how dumb I am. Maybe there's something I did that's really dumb too. And I don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
There's some ranking where people are like, what are you talking about?
What the fuck are you talking about? He should be higher.
Ben Sherratt's a stud. Okay. Here's what we want to do now. We're going to do 2 or 3 of these. Okay. So we're going to look at Cap Friendly. There's an interactive GM tool where you can look at just player, mock trades that fans are going. Where some of these are just, wow. I mean, this is not NHL 22.
So before we go into that, we're doing a couple Detroit ones first. I tried looking for a few Vancouver ones, but all the Vancouver ones are okay, Jake DeBrusk a first for Brock Besser. Done. Yes.
We're going to do 100%. We want it. We got some crazy ones.
We want to actually think about it and sort of
So let's go. We got a Red Wings one. I haven't heard this one yet.
So I'll say it to
I'm
you.
looking at it, but okay, go ahead.
So it's going to be Tyler Bertuzzi, Philip Hronek, Philip Zadina, and the 2nd round pick from Washington.
Okay.
And
the
pick that you got last year to Minnesota in exchange for Joel Eriksson Ek, Kalen Addison, Matthew Boldy, Marco Rossi, who's in the minors, and a 2022 first round pick.
Whoa. What in the hell kind of who's smoking what here? I have to think about this one.
This is created from Putting on the Foil.
I like that guy. Okay, so let's see. This trade has met the central. Okay, so effective cap hit. That's at the deadline, right? So it doesn't really say what it is going forward. See, that's something too that we didn't really look at. Actually, now that I look at this, all our cap hits might be totally wrong.
Fuck it. So Minnesota goes down in the cap.
We're taking Bertuzzi, Hronek, Zadina.
Yeah.
And we're getting, okay. So this is it here.
Yeah.
So you're replacing Bertuzzi with Eriksson Ek, right?
Yeah.
You're replacing Addison or Hronek with Addison. Then you're basically trading Zadina for Boldy, Rossi, and a first.
Yeah.
Oh my! See you guys. No, I'm taking that trade. If I'm a Red Wings fan, I'm actually going to take that trade. That's actually like an overpay by Minnesota. That has to be a Detroit Red Wings fan that did that trade, because there's no way Minnesota would do that. Zero. That's all they're Boldy and Rossi were first round picks plus a first round pick and Eriksson Ek and Addison for Zadina, who's not doing that well. And then Bertuzzi, Hronek's been okay. Bertuzzi's having a career year. So you're selling high at least.
Well, this one doesn't even, it's been rejected, but it's another Red Wings trade.
Oh boy.
Thomas Greiss, Tyler Bertuzzi, Philip Zadina, Theodore Niederbach, and a second round pick.
What's with all these? Who's is it? Hursty making all these trades?
This is from I Am Big Cabbage.
That's him.
They're going to the New York Rangers for Georgiev.
Okay.
Vitaly Kravtsov.
Yeah.
Niles Lundqvist, and a 2022 first rounder.
So it's the same guys though. Bertuzzi's okay. I don't want to.
No Hronek.
Okay, so the full first and second thing, I don't like, because it's just you're fucking
flip-flopping there.
You're flip-flopping a pick, so who cares?
Central Registry determination. This has been rejected because the 23-man roster.
Right, whatever. But like Kravtsov is like in the KHL, so I don't know about him.
He was on loan there.
He was a first rounder. I don't know about him. Yeah, Georgiev. I mean, sure, but also we also have Casa like as well. So yeah, Grace I don't care about.
Is Bertuzzi worth getting rid of that?
No, it's not. So no, I reject that one. There's no way.
The one that we were looking at before,
these are all Red Wings ones?
Yeah, this is the
this is some Vancouver ones at least.
All the Vancouver ones are stupid.
The Toronto ones will be hilarious. We got to do a couple Toronto.
This is from IDK TBH. It's a 3-team trade. Chicago, Colorado, and Detroit.
Okay.
Chicago would receive
Tuomisto from Detroit. Okay. Prospect.
A 2023 first rounder from Colorado.
Okay.
A 2023 third rounder from Detroit, and a 2024 first rounder from Detroit.
Okay, we're getting something then.
Colorado would receive Patrick Kane.
Whoa. Okay.
Chicago retains 50% of the salary.
Okay.
And Detroit receives Sam Girard.
What are we giving up?
You're giving up Tuomisto, a first in 2024 and a third in 2023.
Ooh, for Sam Girard, eh? Because the Kane thing, whatever. I mean, if you want to break that down,
Colorado gets Patrick Kane,
and they're giving up
Girard in a 2023 first. And Patty Kane's 50% salary retained.
But he also has like 3 years left, doesn't he?
It doesn't
Kane?
say on here.
I think he does. Wow, that's interesting. So, like, if you can look at the different trades of what you're getting, what you're giving up. So, Kane for like a Girard and a first, and if you're Colorado, yeah, 100%. I got Kale McCarr and like Bowen Byram and all that shit. For sure, I would do that if I'm Colorado. Chicago, I bet you could milk someone for more than that for Patrick Kane, like for sure. Detroit, that's an interesting one. Like, I'm a Wings fan. I'm trying to think, like, man, Sam Girard is great. I really like him. Like, being in Detroit, that's what we need as defensemen. But you're giving up. So Tuomisto would be basically, you're upgrading him because he's a prospect. And they have a ton of prospects for D, so that's fine. Third round pick, take it. Because we got a shit ton of them. Was that it?
Yeah.
And a first.
You give up
a first, 2020.
Yeah, a 2024 first, a 2023 second. And,
I'm in.
All right.
I'd pull a trigger on that. I'll pay a first for Sam Girard.
This guy, he has a bunch of trades put up here.
At this point, I would do it because you have so many prospects now, and that's in 2024.
Yeah.
That's not even this year. That's next 100%. Because I think I'm kind of hoping I'm in the playoffs next year. And if I get Sam Girard, I should be in the damn playoffs because I would have Seider, Hronek, Sam Girard, maybe Edvinson's going to come, and then you'd still have Gustav Lindstrom. You'd have a pretty solid top 4D. Yeah, I'm doing it.
This guy, his name's EBE. He's created a bunch of here. He has the Flames bringing back Mark Giordano for Nikita Zadorov, a second, 2022 second, and a 2023 fourth.
Okay, if you're Calgary, why would you do that? Like, just keep Zadorov in your picks. There's no reason for you to do Giordano. Pick a Toronto one. It'll be hilarious. Do 2 Toronto ones, and then we'll wrap it up.
There, we're going to 3-team: Toronto, Edmonton, and Anaheim.
Oh my God. Okay, go.
Anaheim acquires Philip Broberg.
Okay, that was Edmonton's first rounder like a few years ago.
Nick Eberzusi.
Never heard of him.
Toronto's 2022 first round.
Okay.
And Edmonton's second round in 2023.
Wow, so Anaheim's getting a ton of shit.
Edmonton acquires Hampus Lindholm.
How? Do I have space for that? Okay. Does
50% retained salary.
Okay.
And Toronto receives Josh Manson with 50% retained salary and Ricard Raquel.
Oh my God. And what did they give up? A first rounder and that's it?
And Arvizusi, a guy in the minors.
You're not getting that. You're not getting both those guys for that. That's insane. There's no way you're giving up a first to get those two. You can maybe get one, I'd say. You know, if you pick one or the other, maybe, yeah.
That was from
you probably need Manson. You need Manson more than Ricard. Raquel.
Here we go. Mox. We got to. No, not this. I know. Fuck, I'll give you this one.
Okay.
The Islanders get Peter Mrazek, a 2023 second and a 2023 third for Semyon Varlamov.
So Toronto thinks that Semyon Varlamov is their answer. Yeah, you go for it, man.
Here we go.
So you're gonna have Varlamov and Campbell.
A Red Wings, Leafs, and Jets.
What's with these 3-way trades? There's okay.
No, this one's stupid.
What?
The Red Wings get a Toronto's 2022 seventh round.
For a 7th round?
Toronto gets Winnipeg's 2023 seventh round.
Bunch of 7th round swaps.
And Winnipeg gets Detroit's 2024.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
okay, do one more, and then we'll try and wrap it up. You keep clicking 3-way trade that says all 3 of them on there. This is the teams.
Oh fuck.
There you go, Toronto, Seattle. What's this one?
Okay. Toronto acquires Mason Appleton and Carson Soucy for Justin Holl and Timothy Liljegren.
In what world is that an upgrade for Toronto?
Ask UKM 13.
Honestly, though, in what world is that an upgrade? Like Liljegren's kind of like 21 years old, something like that, and like Justin Holl, like he's the whipping boy right now. But he had a good year last year, so I'm not sure if it's just like what's going on with him.
You want one more Toronto trade here?
Sure, one more.
Just for fun. 3-way trade. Arizona acquires Justin Holl, Ilya Mikheyev, and Toronto's second round pick in 2023.
Uh-huh.
Boston acquires Liljegren, Toronto's first round in 2022, and Toronto's second round in 2024.
Wait, how many picks are they giving up?
Toronto's giving up 3 picks.
Holy shit. Okay, what are they getting?
Anton Strawman and Charlie McAvoy.
That's not going to happen. Why would Boston do that? Boston's that's their best defenseman. There's no shot. Dude, Toronto fans are hilarious. And then can you imagine they have no picks anymore? They literally would have like no draft picks.
And then they lose up on the next thing, just like they did with Tuukka Rask when they traded him for Andrew Raycroft. And that one would reek of desperation. Toronto fans are nuts with those trade offers. That's crazy. Those fans are nuts. Those are fun to look at. You know what?
People play too much NHL 22. Add a 7th round pick, it'll make it happen.
Let me bring up one more for you, even though I closed. No, not that. Fuck. It's a Vancouver one. It's absolutely stupid.
Let's hear it.
The Predators acquire PK Subban, Ryan Graves, Nicholas Patan, Pavel Zacha, Noah Jolson.
Whoa. How many players?
They're getting a bunch of players.
This is
Noah Jolson, Shakir
Mahamadou.
Yes. Jacob Malik and New Jersey's second round in 2023. New Jersey acquires Matt Duchene, Justin Bailey, UC Saros.
I can't break this down.
Quinn Hughes.
Come on.
Aku Koskenvu.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to make this deal happen.
Vancouver acquires Jesper Bratt, Jeremy Davies, Ty Smith, a first and a second.
Seems fair to me. What the hell was that? There's not even that many slots in NHL 22 to make a trade like that.
That's why they're doing it on. Actually, that's the second part. The first part's still on NHL 22.
Exactly. They have like other players. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna have a fun time on trade deadline.
Have some fun with that if you're bored.
We'll try to post it up that night too. I mean, hopefully I have time to edit it all together, but yeah, it's always a fun time. It's always a letdown all the time. We go in so excited, nothing happens forever, and like most of these
get
trades,
up at 6 a.m. like fuck yeah, let's go.
Most of these trades will happen at like I don't even know. Yeah. So anyway, guys, until you hear from us on a trade deadline, Buschy and Bobo Show, healthyscratch.ca. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
From the friendly confines of the Buschy and Bobo studio.
We should have just hired you to do the voice.
We should have.